Good evening, everybody. I want to call to order the meeting of January 22nd for the Columbia Heights Public School Board. Welcome to everyone who came out tonight. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Laura, can you do roll, please?
Mueller.
Here.
Severson.
Here.
Lewis.
Here.
The Samurai.
Here.
Palmer. Here. And Superintendent Kelly.
Here. Thanks. Columbia Heights mission statement says, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. Our core values are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve, for the agenda approval, adjustments, announcements, and correspondence.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried. Announcements. January 25th, on Friday, January 5th, there's no school. It's a grading day. February 8th, there's also no school for district in-service. February 12th, Tuesday at 7 p.m. is a regular school board meeting right here in the community room. On Monday, February 18th, there's no school for President's Day. On Tuesday, February 19th at 5 p.m., there's a school board listening session here in the Family Center. And also on February 19th at 5:30 p.m. is a regular school board session, work session in the community room. On February 26th, there's a 7 p.m. regular school board meeting right here in the community room. Superintendent Kelly, is there any correspondence?
Madam Chair and members, there's no correspondence this evening.
All right, great. Let's see, I got my little cheat sheet. At this time, any citizens or citizens and employee representatives. At this time, any citizens or employees may briefly address the school board. The board will listen to brief remarks, ask clarifying questions, and, if desired, request that the administration follow up. The board will not take action at this meeting on requests presented at this time. And just based on what I'm seeing here as a topic on this blue card here is, I just want to remind everyone speaking, including us as board members, that there are federal laws and state statutes as well as district policies that prohibit public discussion of information of specific incidents in regards to staff and students under data privacy. So please speak in general terms to prevent the need for us to stop the conversation. Any more of these? All right, come on up for the consent agenda, which includes the personnel report.
So moved.
Did you, oh, I'll give it to Hala. She was louder, sorry.
Absolutely. Second.
All right, thank you, Laura. All right, any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, the Acknowledgement of Contributions. This is a resolution, so is there a motion for the resolution? Do I read the resolution first?
To move it forward first.
And move it forward first, yeah? Sorry,
Yes,
I'm a
you move
rookie.
it- Move it forward first
All right.
and then discuss,
Makes more sense.
read, and then
Got it, all right.
so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Acknowledgement of Contributions Resolution. Whereas Minnesota Statute 123B.02 permits school boards to receive, for the benefit of the district, bequest, donations, or gifts for any proper purpose and apply the same to the purpose designated. In that behalf, the board may act as trustee of any trust created for the benefit of the district and for the benefit of the peoples thereof. Therefore, be it resolved that be it resolved that the School Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools, Independent School District Number 13, that the school board accepts with appreciation the contributions detailed in the background in the amount of $8,089.42. The detailed background includes a donation of $1,500 was made to North Park Elementary by St. Philip's Lutheran Church for students in need. A donation of $312 was made to North Park Elementary by Wells Fargo, Your Cause for Programming Needs. A donation of $172.50 was made to North Park Elementary by the ASD.com Inc. for library needs. A donation of $679.90 was made to North Park Elementary by the North Park PTO for color run materials. A donation of $200 was made to North Park Elementary by the Financial One for programming needs. A donation of $288 was made to North Park Elementary by the Minnesota Historical Society for busing costs. A donation of $135 was made to North Park Elementary by the Life Touch for programming needs. A donation of $1,035 was made to North Park Elementary by Lynn and Kate Christensen for the band program. A donation of $792 was made by Jersey Mikes for the New York Study Seminar. And the following donations were made to the Columbia Heights Public Schools Eat Up the Debt campaign. Anonymous, $100. Emily Anderson, $120. And Sharon Bittner, $120. In-kind donations. Donations of a guitar to North Park Elementary by Chris Nelson for music program, estimated value of $200. Donation of hats and coats to Valley View Elementary by Barb Nundahl for student needs, estimated value of $80. Donation of hats to Valley View Elementary by Betty Thomas for student needs, estimated value $25. Donation of an iPad package to Highland Elementary by Donors Choose for Miss Carson's classroom, estimated value $521.07. Donation of 5 Chromebooks to Highland Elementary by Donors Choose for student needs, estimated value of $1,250.95. Donation of winter clothing to Columbia Academy by Jennifer Klein for student needs, estimated value $300. Donations of gloves to Valley View Elementary by Community United Methodist Church for student needs, estimated value $213. Donation of hats to Valley View Elementary by Laura Kinnan for student needs, estimated value $45, for a total fiscal year 2018-2019 monetary contributions to date of $55,068.88. Any discussion? Yes.
Always, thank you so much, the community, the generosity, and these contributions and donations will be put to very good use. We're very appreciative.
Yeah, it's really fun to see such a broad range of people thinking of the school district, and just high appreciation for what they're up to in the community and their support.
Yep, absolutely, much appreciated.
All right, so having said that, this is a motion, so it's a roll call, correct?
Be correct?
Yeah. So I read the motion, right? Or I just read the motion?
You just, yeah, you just
All right.
read it, so they just get to.
Just get to vote. Thanks. Little newbie here.
Mueller,
Aye.
Severson,
Aye.
Lewis,
Aye.
Samurai,
Aye.
Palmer, aye.
All right, motion carries. Moving on to reports from members of the board.
Sure.
Member Lewis, would you like to start?
Of course.
All right, thanks.
I did have the opportunity to attend the musical that was put on by Columbia Academy, and I cannot say enough good things about that. If you knew the kids at all, the casting was done phenomenally well. The kids that were in their parts were really fun to watch. I also attended high school conferences as well as the AP Parents Information Meeting, and then had a chance to attend the youth night at the Columbia Heights Boys Varsity Basketball game and had pizza. Thank you to the Booster Club, as always, for what they do to support our kids. Thank you. That's it. And multiple conversations with community members. I'm sure we'll. Thank you.
Member Samurai?
I had the listening session last week, and I had many conversations with community members, but those didn't happen at the same time.
Member Palmer?
Yes, I also was able to attend the Little Mermaid over at the Columbia Academy, and it was absolutely wonderful. Brought my daughter with; she just absolutely loved it. And I had such a good time. I like my new work schedule. Maybe I can do more of these things. It'll be nice. I also had the opportunity to go to the Tri-Metro Fine Arts Festival, and oh my gosh, that was so amazing. They got together, there was like 10 different schools, and they sent their honors students, from band and choir, and I believe there was also an art component as well. And there was an orchestra there too, and we'd love to have an orchestra, but I know that's a little bit on the high-end. We'll work a band program first. But anyway, they started out their day at 9 a.m. in the morning or 9:15 in the morning when they got there. And they put together an entire performance. So in the evening, they put on an amazing show. It was absolutely, it was an incredible experience. The only thing I would like to say is that it would have been nice for some students who participate in both the choir program and the band program to have had an opportunity to be able to do both rather than having to just choose one. So that was great. I also had the opportunity to go to the leadership conference for MSBA, and I believe that there'll be some more information about that coming in the future. The guest speaker was amazing as always, and that's pretty much it for me. We have a long meeting tonight, so I'll tighten it up.
All right. Member Mueller?
Thank you. I also attended the high school conferences and the middle school musical. I will also comment that they just did a fantastic job. I was able to attend 2 competitions, invitationals of our dance team, so it was really fun to watch them dance. I attended a City of Columbia Heights City Council meeting. I also attended a varsity boys basketball game, and as Member Lewis said, the youth night. And again, a huge thank you to the boosters for all that they do for that night and just in general for our community and our schools. At that varsity basketball game, the dance team and the pep band performed, so it was fun to see them as well. I also attended a middle school basketball game. I had the opportunity to attend the Columbia Academy Rise Up Breakfast, which was really a inspirational time to see so many middle schoolers being recognized for rising up. Like Member Palmer, I just want to spend another minute talking about that Tri-Metro concert. I was also there, and what a fantastic opportunity for our students. They, as she said, they get there at 9 a.m., and they're actually working with professors from the University of Minnesota and Augsburg to learn music and talk about poems and the songs and really have a great experience. And then the concert that they put on after only working together for the day is absolutely incredible. So that was a great evening for the arts. Also had conversations with Member Palmer and with Vice Chair Severson, and also several conversations with community members.
Thanks. Like most, I attended a varsity basketball game. I did also go to the Columbia Academy musical several times, and was really excited by the size of the cast. There were just so many kids who were able to be involved. It's fun to see that, and I know they have a wealth of kids at the middle school right now who are really interested in theater. So kudos to the theater department down at CA. I was also at the AP Parent Informational Night. I've been to a couple of boys' swim meets. Like Member Samurai, was at the listening session. Would encourage people to utilize those. We have a half an hour once a month, or where we're able to you're able to come have a less formal conversation with a school board member and somebody on the administration team. So encourage people to take advantage of those. Then I also had a conversation with Member Mueller and Superintendent Kelly, and many conversations with the public over the last couple weeks. That's it. Superintendent Kelly, do you have a report?
Madam Chair and members, I do. Bless you, Lorian. I had the good fortune to attend the Kindergarten Winter Sing over at Valley View, the Columbia Academy rendition of The Little Mermaid, and the Columbia Academy Choir Concert. I have to say, all of those were just outstanding. It was really fun to have our hearts in the arts in the last 2 weeks. Congratulations to all staff and students involved. Special thanks, I want to say special thanks to the boosters, too, for sponsoring the Youth Appreciation Night. The pizza was delicious, and it was just great having conversations and getting everybody together, and that really, I think, spurred wonderful attendance to the basketball game as well, and which was fun. I attended that, and it was fun hearing the pep band and seeing the dance line move forward. We're having construction planning meetings. They continue. Director Brian Hannekins will give a brief update tonight on what's going on in that area, but we'll have an extensive report in March for the board. I attended the Northeast Metro 916 Superintendent's Advisory, and it was a 2-prong agenda. There was the legislative initiatives, as they have to do with special education, and the cross-subsidy was really a topic. Once again, on trying to move some of that cost and forward in the legislature to take, so it doesn't take such a bite out of our budget. And 916 has come up with a wonderful array of professional development offerings in the summer for both teachers, educational assistants and administrators. And so I did come back and talk to Dr. Fry about that to see if we could be enrolling some of our staff. And what's so nice about that is the teams come from across the districts, and so they can not only learn from whoever the instructor is, but from one another and do some cross-sharing. So that's a great opportunity for us. And I think that I just wanted to say that the 2019 New York Study Seminar is proceeding. It's fast approaching, and that there is a parent night tomorrow night for all parents involved in that in the trip at 6 o'clock at the high school. And if anybody needs their parent permission slip notarized, our school district notary, Dawn Hoyam, will be present to make herself available free of charge. So wanted to thank Dawn and remind the parents. I've had multiple communications with school board members over the last 2 weeks, and I attended the school board chair meeting with Vice Chair Searson, and that's all I have to say for tonight.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Kelly. Would like to welcome up for an department update, the Human Resources Department, and that'll be Lindsay Bennett, Director of Human Resources, Elizabeth, I'm gonna butcher this. Brushy. Oh, they're not as bad as it sounds. Human Resource Manager, Sarah Bruce, Human Resource Generalist, and Heather Lynch, Benefits Specialist. Elizabeth, I'd like you to know that I have seen your name. I have heard your name, but I've never seen it, so that's...
Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. It's our pleasure to be here tonight as the Human Resources Department to give you a brief update of what we've been up to. Again, our mission, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner, all belong, all succeed. So here's the department. There's 5 of us. This is us at convocation. So you have myself, the HR director. Next to me is Sarah Bruce, HR generalist. Next to her is Heather Lynch, benefits specialist, and then we have Elizabeth Brucey at the end, HR manager. And the only person we're missing is Heidi, who's our admin assistant that keeps us all together. Some of us in the department have been here a long time. Elizabeth and I have been here 10 years and 13 years. And other people are newer to the department but come with tons of experience. So we're very happy and honored to have everybody as part of my team. So what's new in HR for 2018-2019? Benefits was transferred from the business office to HR, so Heather will cover that in a little bit. The other big thing is the e-finance system. So ties went away. Starting July 1st, we had a brand new system. With ties, it used to be HR kind of ran their stuff, the payroll ran their stuff. We never really had to talk too much about what was going on in the system, and now it's all run off one platform. So everything HR touches affects payroll, everything payroll affects HR. So it's been a good collaboration with us in the business office to really get the system up and running and work together as a team. So some of the highlights, and then everybody will kind of go into more detail. We do staffing, benefits, employee leaves, feedback surveys, negotiations, personnel issues, many recognition programs, and then probably everybody's favorite, the HR compliance. So I'll pass it to Sarah to talk about staffing.
All right, so I'm Sarah Bruce. I'm the HR generalist here for Columbia Heights Public Schools. And one of my primary duties is to help with recruiting and onboarding of new staff. So since starting, I've really been focusing on sourcing candidates from a variety of different pools. We've increased a lot of our postings, especially utilizing different online job boards. So Indeed is one of the #1 hiring platforms right now, or a great place to find candidates. So we've really increased our presence there. We've also been utilizing LinkedIn and social media as a great source. And we've even done some other things like put up posters or have flyers in our different schools or the placement center so that parents or caregivers can see that there are opportunities available too if they were to be interested. And then something we're very excited about, this summer we plan to have an in-house or an on-site job fair. So really bringing together different hiring managers and directors to be on site to help recruit for some of our positions. Something else we also focus on, or something I've been working on, is helping with interviewing and reference checks, so collaborating with our hiring managers to ensure that our hiring process is moving as quickly as it can and that we're providing a timely hiring experience for candidates and new employees, and also providing a timely and responsive communication back to them. And then last, just to speak a little bit about retention and onboarding. Onboarding, I meet with all new hires, really try to pass along as much information as possible so that they feel as if they're set up for success and ready to hit the ground running. And then we also conduct stay surveys and exit interviews, so really trying to dig into the employee experience to help make improvements to our employee and onboarding process.
And then the other part of the slide is just the annual staffing process, which we work with the administration to figure out, based on licensure and seniority, kind of where we're going to place people for the following school year. So now I'll hand it on to Heather for benefits.
All right, my name is Heather, and the benefits specialist position is new this year. So a big part of my job is to really look at the processes and procedures that are in place, create procedures and streamline a lot of those between departments and within our own department. Recently, we switched COBRA retiree vendors, and I've been working really closely with our new vendor and our old vendor and trying to clean up some of the data. It wasn't looking very clean for a while, so I'm working on that. I am pretty much done with that, and we're hoping in the future to bring that in-house so that we can work really closely with our retirees and our former employees that way. I am working on administration of 403Bs. That was a payroll function that has moved over to me now. I am working on auditing and cleaning up all of the data and also creating consistent processes going forward so that we are being consistent and as accurate as possible. Audits of carrier billing, payroll deductions, and benefit bridge, which is our benefit enrollment system. I do monthly audits between the carrier bills and our benefits system to make sure that we aren't overpaying or underpaying, or everyone is covered that needs to be covered. And then also audits between payroll and our benefits system to make sure that our payroll deductions are set up properly and we're not overcharging employees or not charging enough. Open enrollment is a big thing right now. We're ramping up for open enrollment in May. It'll be my first open enrollment with the district. I'm not new to open enrollment. I'm used to having many open enrollments going on at the same time with my broker background, so this is kind of a breath of fresh air, having one open enrollment. But I'm working on a project plan and making sure that I'm working closely with our broker and all of our vendors and to make sure that our open enrollment goes as smoothly as possible. 1095s are a big thing right now. The IRS did extend the deadline to, I believe, March 4th, so we have a little more time to get those out to employees. However, I'm trying to get as much done as possible and get ahead of that, so in case anything goes wrong, we are ahead of that and we're not late in getting those out to employees. And finally, benefit marketing, because the benefits position is new. No one has really been able to really focus on informing employees and making sure everyone knows about benefits and knows to make the right healthcare decisions and the right plan decisions.
Some of the other things that HR does is staff relations. So when employees or prospective employees have questions about contracts or salaries, we're there to answer those. Personnel matters, serving as the human rights officer. And then one of the fun things we always get to do is the recognition programs. So here was the tenure teacher from this fall. We do the employee of the year, the career celebration in the spring, master's degree recognition, years of service, so recognizing staff that completed 1 year and they get a little token, and then 5 years and 10 years, and then the employee spotlight, which is in our newsletter. So I'll hand it over to Elizabeth now to cover some of our other duties.
Good evening, everyone. A few of the other things that either myself or some of my department members do in a day's work are helping employees know and understand their rights under the Family Medical Leave Act. In addition to that, we coordinate between a supervisor, payroll, and the employee regarding their timeout and their insurance if they are out on FMLA. We assist with parental leaves, and really with any year-long leave, we help them navigate their way through that. We have a variety of long-term leaves, whether it's a military leave parental, statutory extended leave, or they're out on disability. So we help them work through those details. We coordinate all the pieces of workers' compensation, so submitting a first report of injury to our work comp vendor or insurance vendor, and then working with the injured employee on missed time and doctor's appointments and any physical restrictions they might have that we need to accommodate on site for them. Leave day tracking, this is our second year that leave days are being tracked by our department. So this is basically entering and tracking everything from sick leave to vacation to professional days, jury duty. The nice piece about the leave days moving to the HR department is that it helps me identify possible FMLA when I see a pattern in someone's absences. OSHA log, it's something we do annually where we have to classify work-related injury and illness and its severity. Employee handbook, we update that annually, and every employee in the district is required to sign off on it annually. We manage all the I-9s, so verifying the identity and employment authorization of all those we hire, and then track any work visas that may be expiring. Make sure that all of our mandatory labor law posters are current and visible in all of our buildings. We do background checks on all of our new employees as well as our volunteers. We use both the BCA and then a third-party vendor called McDowell. And then we track student teachers, so the placement, who the cooperating teacher is, what building they're in, what college they're from, the dates, and then whether getting the approval from the principal, and then making sure all the paperwork and background check is in place.
And then the last one, there's the Health and Wellness Committee and Funds. And so we put up there the take care of yourself, and that's been the motto of the committee this year. So we belong to the South Central Services Co-op for our health insurance. And for each person we have enrolled in our benefits, we get so many dollars per person to spend on health-related activities. So this year, besides some of the typical flu shot clinic or healthy newsletter, we've been able to offer a reimbursement if you go to, say, a yoga class so many times in a 3-month period. And we've also been able to offer a little bit, not too much, but enough to a massage reimbursement. So if you want to get a massage, you just got like a little bit repaid. So it's just some ways to help staff and across the board just to help take care of themselves because we know how hard they work. So that's kind of a good thing to use some of those funds for. And then the last thing is we just always try to stick to the motto, irresistible employment. So any questions?
I have a question. And I apologize, I don't have much of a voice today.
Okay.
You had talked about doing some exit interview data. What do you do with that? Is that something that you share with the board at any point in terms of satisfaction or dissatisfaction with staff as they are coming and going?
We don't share it with the board. What typically we do is with the stay surveys and the exit interviews is the stay surveys are all done in person. Exit interviews are done by electronic link, unless it's sometimes when a director leaves or some certain positions, I might meet with them individually. It's all compiled. We look for patterns. So, it might be, I'm just trying to think. We had one time one person wanted 2 computer screens, and that was like one of the reasons they didn't want to stay. So we try to catch some of those little things, but they're reported out usually at an admin team meeting, about every couple of months, depending on when we do them, and just kind of look for patterns and let principals know and directors know. And then, of course, if there's anything glaring, I always meet with the superintendent and tell her, here's what I'm seeing as a pattern.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right,
Okay.
thank you,
Thank
HR
you.
team.
Thanks.
All right, I'd like to now welcome up the community education team, and they'll present on an update from community education. Director of Community Education and Communications, Kristen Stunkel. All right.
So, Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly, we're so happy to be here this evening to give you an update about our community education department. And this evening I have with me Tiffany Grams-Farkas, who is our early childhood manager, Jody Gadiant, who is our community education coordinator, and Amada Marquez Simula, who is our adult enrichment senior programs manager. And our school district's mission is to creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. In terms of the core values that you'll be hearing this evening, we are community education, where we are all committed to excellence in programming through collaboration within the district and community. Grounding us is a work ethic rooted in integrity, respecting and celebrating students of all ages to be courageous in their learning, innovative in how they implement what they have learned in order to create a community and world where all belong and all succeed. For our community education leadership team, this lists our leadership team. I've already introduced those that are up here with me. You have heard and will hear again this year from Maya Lemon, our agriculture specialist. You've heard from Kathleen Moriarty, our adult basic ed supervisor. Tammy Fisher is our Encore aquatics coordinator. Jasmine Fink and Alexa Zapata are at our front desk. And then I'd also like to add that on our team are also all of the teachers, assistants, and instructors and participants who enrich our program. So now I'll turn it over to Tiffany to present about our early childhood programs.
Hello, I'm happy to have the opportunity to talk to you about our early childhood programs. In early childhood, the benefits include supporting the well-being of our students and families, strengthening families by supporting parents, the partnership between home and school, preparing students for lifelong learning, and then also the collaboration with our early childhood special education program. The programs that are in early childhood include our early childhood family education program, and that's a program that provides parenting education to support children's learning and development from birth to 5 years. We offer a variety of classes and events that are day, evening, and weekends. And some of our classes that we're offering include include classes that are dad and me classes, grandparents and children classes. We also offer classes for our English language learners, and we provide transportation for families in those classes. And it's again a variety of themes and topics throughout the weeks and throughout the months. Then with our early childhood screening program, this is a mandatory free developmental screening that occurs before kindergarten. In this screening program, we offer developmental, health, and family components. A lot of our families are able to connect to community resources during the screening process. We offer a variety of times, August through May, and our focus is to screen at the age of 3. And then this year, we're working on some different updates. And one of them is offering a new developmental screener for our families, a social emotional screener with our families, and then also just the referral process that we have for early childhood screening. In our pre-K3 and our pre-K4 programming, we are focusing on the core value of excellence. Both programs are 4-star parent aware rated, and we have curriculum and assessment that's fully aligned with our Minnesota's early childhood indicators of progress. We are also this year within our pre-K4 and pre-K3 programming piloting a new assessment tool, and that's something that we'll be doing this year and then focusing on curriculum next year. Within our pre-K3 program, we offer 4 different sections. They all happen in the Family Center, and we have 68 students that are attending those classes. And then with pre-K4, those are offered at our elementary schools, and then we have our satellite from North Park that's offered at the Family Center. We currently have 144 slots of general ed slots, and then we have 33 slots for special education. And currently, we still have some openings in our Valley View location. And we are underway with our enrollment for next year, and the placement center has been very busy for our pre-K4 programs. Then for our home visiting, we are excited to have the opportunity to have our parent educator go out and visit with families. We have welcome baby visits, which we are able to, any family that has a new baby within our district, the parent educator can go out and provide some free just information and items that they can use. And then we also offer our families the opportunity to make phone calls or to connect in person here or at the home. And that's something that the parent educator is able to provide anywhere from birth all the way up to our pre-K4 classes. Then focusing on our core value of collaboration, some of the ways that we partner with the community. We have a partnership with our public library, and we offer some opportunities for our babies and toddlers, and then we also offer opportunities for our mindful movement, which meets twice a month at the library. Then we also we partner with our police department and city to use the space at Circle Terrace. This is, we offer twice a month, we offer a class that we hold there. My staff and I walked and met with families throughout the neighborhood this fall, and we're finding out more information on how we can support families in that community. We also have our Family Center Parent Advisory Council. This allows for opportunities for all families in our early childhood special education, ECFE, pre-K-3, and our Mini Adventures Child Care program to join the council and provide us feedback, and then also plan for some events and fundraising opportunities. Then we have our book and toy lending library that families are able to take advantage of within our building here, and that's something that they can check out activities and do things at home with their children. Finally, the Mini Adventures Child Care program, we offer that at our family center, and that is an opportunity for children that are ages 3 to 5, and it's a year-round 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday child care. We have 2 classrooms. We have 20 students in each classroom, and currently we have 47 children enrolled, and over 50% of those students are receiving assistance. Our assistance includes multiple scholarships and county assistance, and that also happens within our pre-K programming. And we have our Pathways 1, which is a scholarship that families can receive through either Hennepin County or Anoka County. We also have our Pathways 2 scholarships, which we are the holders of, and then based on families' eligibility, they can receive that scholarship. There's county assistance, and then with our pre-K-3 and our ECFE programs, we have our sliding fee scale for families. Our Mini Adventure is, again, focusing on that core value of excellence, is a 4-star parent-aware rated program. And this year, we're currently focusing on the social-emotional strategies for our students. Our waiting list is extensive, and we have phone calls almost daily for families wanting to join Mini Adventures, so we're getting them on our wait list. And I just placed a 8-week-old on our wait list, and that family wants to enroll in a couple years for their child. So it's very exciting. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Jody Gadiant.
Hi, thanks for having me here tonight. As I've been with the district for quite a few years, I did switch over a role this summer to community education coordinator. So I'm going to share with you tonight all of our youth programs. I'll start with Adventure Club, which is our fee-based child care program, kindergarten through 5th grade. We offer that at North Park Valley View and Highland Elementary after school each day till 6 p.m. We're open on also non-school days. And in the summer, so we are kind of always running even when other things are not. Currently we have 100 students enrolled across the 3 elementary schools. Highland has been full for the past few years with a waiting list. Valley View is also full a couple days of the week with a waiting list, and then we still have some space available at North Park. As far as the non-school days go, we have 15 this school year, and we've had 7 so far, with another one coming up this Friday. Also in the summer, we have high enrollment. We have been full the past several summers with a waiting list, so that's great to see for our program. In the summer, we also work a lot with Blooming Heights, do a lot of field trips in the summer and on non-school days. Something new to Adventure Club and Mini Adventures is all programs that receive funding through child care assistance needed to become certified through the Minnesota Department of Human Services. So that was a little bit of an undertaking. We had to do 5 sites, North Park, Valley View, Highland, the Family Center, and Mini Adventures. We had to get each of them certified. But we are there, so now all of our programs can continue to receive child care assistant funding, which a lot of our families utilize. And another change with that is all employees will have to go through a federal background study. So we've been working closely with our Human Resources Department to have that completed. And then on to Encore. One thing I have learned in this new position is all the collaboration and pieces that are involved in Encore. I knew about the program before, but have learned so much this last 6 months. Encore is our 21st Century Community Learning Grant that we jointly combined with the community, or with the Columbia Heights Recreation Department. We have programming at all of our sites. Our elementary, we have after-school program at Highland, North Park, and Valley View, Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays after school, and at Valley View, Monday through Friday in the morning, offering a variety of things from yoga, games, coding, music, dance, all the components that you can think of to for our students to be a part of. And this is for 1st through 5th grade at our elementaries. And then at Columbia Academy, same thing, after school, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And before school, we offer a soccer and basketball on Thursday and Friday mornings. Some of the highlights there would be Computer Explorers, Northern Clay. We have a mock trial where the students get to practice law. And coming up on March 14th, they're going to the U of M, and they get to set up kind of like they're at a trial and practice the skills that they've been working on. We also have at the high school, lots of different things, somewhat of the same schedule, a little bit different, but we have Seed to Plate class on Wednesdays where students get to practice their cooking skills, making healthy meals. We have a science bowl. They're competing on January 26th at McAllister, so that's coming up here very soon. And then we have the collaboration with the community, or the Columbia Heights Recreation Department and the library, and we work closely with them to offset some of our programming. So over spring break or non-school days, they're offering programming when we are not here to offer that, or on some of the Tuesdays when we don't have programming, they're offering yoga classes or graphic novel class from the library. And then some of our community organizations I already mentioned, but we work closely with Spark Y, Northern Clay. So there's so much collaboration that goes into Encore, which is great to see with all the outside agencies that we work with and all of the schools and the teachers willing to teach the classes after school. It really is a group that has to work together to get all these classes to run. We also have a youth advisory that's new to our program this year. We have a group of about 8 students, middle school and high school, who we have now had 2 meetings with, and they're just the most wonderful group of students who have given us a lot of feedback on Encore programming, what they've liked, not liked, what they'd like to see. So we're hoping to draw on their experience in the program to improve the program that we do in the future. And then additional school-age program that we have, as far as aquatics goes, we do have an Encore aquatics program. We're going to start trimester 2 on February 2nd, so we're offering lessons for 4th through 12th grade students, levels 1 to 3. We have had robust enrollment, especially from the 4th through 8th grade side, and it takes a lot of courage, especially for some of our middle school and high school students, to take a swim lesson when maybe that's something they haven't been exposed to before. So it's great to see some older students who would like to learn that life skill. We have driver's education. We had a class in October. We have another one coming up in February and into March, and another one in May. And then for our SHIP 4.0 grant, our statewide health improvement plan, we're just in the works of getting things rolling for this fiscal year for them, but we're working on a small-scale farm-to-school program with them, and then also getting some physical activity equipment for our special education department is what we're working on with SHIP for this year. And then service learning, we still have our Key Club, which is a strong, robust group of students, and collaborating with the Kiwanis with that. And our summer sports camp, will be offering those again this summer for students entering 7th through 12th grade. We've been working closely with Carissa Global from the rec department, and also Jake from our activities department, to really try to make it a seamless opportunity for our students, so we can work together and kind of piggyback on each other rather than maybe not offering the same things or different ages. So really trying to be a piggyback program for each other. So hopefully this summer we can align our programs to really help each other out in those areas.
Thank you, Jody. And now Amada will present about adult enrichment and seniors.
Hello, thanks for having us again. I know we were all excited discussing how this was going to go. So it's good to be here. So for adult enrichment classes, we one of the core values is collaboration, and we do work with Fridley and Spring Lake Park to offer more dance, art, and cooking classes. The instructors that we have, this way we can, instead of duplicating our efforts, we can sort of keep them in one location. And it seems to be working out really well. Banfield Lock is a great center to work with, and they can just offer so many things. But yet we still have things close to home. One of the core values is courage, and me being new here, we've added a lot more classes. So I think that takes some courage to trust that the community is asking for these classes. We're bringing them. We really want to include people in the classes here. We also have our senior event pass. I've actually gone out to the city, to the senior center over at Merchant Hall, and had a lot of people join into that. Also have taken over some of the posters of what's happening with the middle school, the academy, and the high school, so that the seniors actually know what's coming up and they can come in and utilize that pass. Luckily, last week I went there, it was Little Mermaid weekend, so I was able to say, tonight this is happening. But going to sister cities as well, a lot of the members there are also seniors, and they're also very excited to come. I think it's a great program, and really bringing that message to them that these students are working so hard, and we just want to have a great audience and have the community come back. If their kids have graduated and moved on, they're still a part of this community. We still want them to see all of this, what we have happening with the students. And then one of the new things we have, and this is one of the core values of innovation, taking some more day trips, bringing back the very popular restaurant tour, which we already have, I think, at least 10 signed up for. The restaurant tour, we go to 5 local family-owned restaurants, and we have a bus that meets here. We go to 5 different restaurants. We have 20 minutes in a restaurant, and it's going to fill up. Just to get a little peek, walk in the door, and the restaurants are just as excited as everyone who's signed up for it. Also going to the Guthrie, and we are going to see As You Like It. I have some flyers here if anybody would like to come. It's Wednesday, February 20th. It's $40, which includes your ticket and bus, so no parking. You don't have to worry about any of those things, but it's a great price. But really wanting to utilize all the things that we have here in our community. We're planning a trip to the Arboretum for their tulip show, and of course we don't know the date on that because it's weather dependent. So everyone will sign up on a waiting list, and we'll give them a call as soon as the Arboretum has a date for that. A couple other things with innovative things that we would like to do. I know this past class catalog that just came out a few weeks ago, there's actually kind of a new look to that. We tried to do a couple different things with it. And also talking about doing some YouTube videos with all of our instructors, maybe a little hello or a bio, and we can email it to the students before they go to class and kind of have that connection built before they even get there. So really working to bring something a little different, and there's so many tools that are low cost, and we just need to get out there and work with them. So very excited to be here. Thank you.
Our community value is Heights Pride, and I'm just so proud of this team. We also have aquatics programming, and that's really a collaboration between Amada, between Jody and Tammy with the Encore water safety classes, and we're bringing back the open swim time, the water aerobics for adults, and lap swim for adults, and all of that is in our community ed brochure. Additional community ed programming, you can see Blooming Heights, Metro North ABE. We have a community ed advisory council. I help to oversee with the team all of the community ed programs and collaborations. I am a liaison to the Fridley Columbia Heights Rotary Club, and with all the Rotary programs with Columbia Heights, youth exchange, and also farm to school programs. And I would just like to close with saying thank you for the opportunity to serve our community of lifelong learners. Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions?
I do just have one question about the open swim times.
Yeah.
You mentioned what it is for the adults. What is it right now for youth, or do we not have that?
So open swim is for all ages.
Okay.
Yep, and that's going to be starting at the start of February. And that is going to be on
1 to 2:30, starting February 2nd through May 18th.
Every Saturday.
On Saturdays.
on Saturdays, and that follows right after our Encore swim lessons.
Okay.
And we've got young people in our community who are the lifeguards.
And that will be posted online?
Yes,
It is current.
and it's in
currently
our,
posted.
Great,
yes.
thank you.
and it's also in our community ed brochure.
Okay.
And that's the lap swim. That was the one for adults? Is that what you mentioned?
Yeah, lap swim
Okay.
and water aerobics, those are both for adults, and those are in the evenings, on Monday and Wednesday evening.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I did have a question about, you mentioned, back at the beginning, we talked about finding 3-year-olds for the early childhood screening, and then you also mentioned home visits for people with infants. How do you go about finding those people? And then a sub-question of, if those people aren't found, maybe they're just missed whatever means, can they reach out to the school district, and how would they do that?
Great questions. First, with our preschool screening of the 3-year-olds, we focus on our students that are in our programming, and then we also have lists that we can communicate with families and send out reminders and mailings to families that are not in our programs.
That just census
Census
data?
data,
Okay.
yep.
Yes.
And then with our welcome baby visits, those we get birth lists, and those come from the state, and then we, from the birth list, we get the addresses, and then we send out a postcard, and then families can contact us via the postcard and our information. And then the follow-up question that you had regarding, can you repeat that again?
Can people reach out to us to
Yes.
receive those services if they
Yes.
don't necessarily get a postcard, or maybe their neighbor hears about it and they,
Correct.
something like that? Okay.
Yep.
And they would just contact the community education department?
Yep.
Okay.
There's multiple phone numbers. I mean, they can sometimes they contact me, sometimes they just call the office, but then, or else they can email, and that's usually it's phone calls.
Great, thanks. Anybody else? All right, thank
you.
you, community education. Nice to meet y'all. All right, can we get a mid-year report on the from the diversion committee, from our Executive Director of Educational Service, Zena Stendick, and Leslie Shirk, our Discipline Supervisor.
Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. I'm pleased to be here this evening with Leslie Shirk, our Discipline Supervisor. Of course, our mission is creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. And this evening, our core values that we're encompassing are collaboration, respect, and courage. So this is an informational update. We will not be back for a governance or an action item. So before I turn it over to Leslie Shirk works half-time as the assistant principal at Valley View Elementary School. Then the other half, she works at the district center as the diversion specialist. And what she's doing is working to review our practices and our procedures for managing and responding to behaviors. So she's going to go over a little bit of her role.
Good evening, Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, and Superintendent Kelly. I'm happy to be here tonight. And as Director Stenvik said, I've taken on a new role this year. I am .5 assistant principal at Valley View and .5 diversion specialist for the district. I try as best I can to keep that divided up very evenly. But the main responsibilities of my job, as Director Stenvik said, is to establish common and proactive practices that lead to decreasing suspensions across the district. I attend regional meetings that provide training to us, and then I meet with assistant principals, deans, and district staff monthly to look at data review, and look at trends and for training. I also present this information to the E12 admin team monthly. That includes administrators, principals, directors, and Superintendent Kelly. I also provide, and I work in collaboration with teaching and learning to provide professional development for training in these areas as well. One of the aspects of my work in this role that I'm most excited about seeing success in is our alignment of practices, as mentioned before. This year, we have been able to
put together a collaborative effort to create a district-wide student rights and responsibilities handbook that was given out to every family in the district. It's a great resource tool for staff and for families as well. We've been able to establish the district discipline assessment team that meets monthly. We continually review common practices. That's looking at data trends, also culturally responsive teaching practices in our classroom. We have been able to provide training in objective referral, writing, and reporting. We look and study successful classroom conditions for learning, and we work with teachers and staff on that. Our main focus is to decrease suspensions, and we do this through looking at restorative practices, mediation, problem solving, all those life skills that are going to help our students be successful. We have been able to provide training for yoga calm and trauma-informed practices in our sites. We've been also able to provide de-escalation training. We have very focused professional development, which we'll talk about in just a minute, specifically relating to behavior and discipline needs and trends. And we, at each site, do very extensive work with our PLCs, our professional learning communities, on behavior and discipline for our teachers to be able to address the needs of our students. And there are multiple equity book studies at every site across the district, which are going very, very well.
So Leslie mentioned the professional developments, so I wanted to just put a list of some of the different training opportunities that staff have had. Both licensed and non-licensed staff have had multiple opportunities throughout the school year. Coming up on February 8th, our district in-service day, we have Dr. Clay Cook coming, who's a specialist from the University of Minnesota on mental health and multi-tiered systems of support. So he'll be delivering a keynote address to all staff. In the licensed staff and some non-licensed staff in the district, and then do a follow-up session with some administrators and some key teacher leaders. So we're excited about that. But truly, as Leslie mentioned, our focus simply on decreasing suspension alone doesn't improve our schools, right? And so we wanted to just show you that as a mid-year update that we're putting into place tools for teachers and tools for students to use in order to create positive learning environments and positive school climates for our students and our staff. So if there's any questions.
I have a question. Thank you for coming. And I think that you had mentioned that, something that you're doing monthly is reviewing the data and going over that with our admin teams. Looking at, since you started this in September, roughly, can you give a general overview of what the last 4 months have looked like?
So each year we report suspension and referral data to the school board, and we will continue to do that. And I would say, and I'll let you speak in a second, Leslie, we are finding some small successes that we're excited about and we'd like to celebrate. I'm looking at longer data, though. I want to look at the end of the school year. And we're also turning over some rocks and seeing where we need to do more training and where we need to learn more about a different system. So it's a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I think this is a unique role, and the more we get into it, the more we see great things happening, and we are asking the right questions, and we're having the right discussions. And like she mentioned, yes, we are, and we will continue to report on those as well.
I think one of the biggest successes, if I may, is getting all of the schools and admin teams in the room at the same time, aligning practices so that kids are experiencing the same, utilizing our district handbook, so we're all using the same rules, the same procedures across the board. So that's exciting to have those conversations.
I know there was extensive time spent on the student right handbook. Do you feel like, I know we handed it to all the families. I got one myself. Do you feel like the students are aware that it's there, that it's been helpful to you? How are you feeling about that?
I have multiple conversations with administrators in different schools saying, well, on page 36 of the handbook.
Okay.
So they are definitely referring to it in the conversations that I'm having.
Yeah, and we talk about that quite a bit in our trainings, and yeah, I'm seeing the same thing too. It's a nice kind of
starting point for conversations with families. There's also additional resources in there that are school calendars and attendance procedures and things. So I have heard parents too referring to it, and less questions about those types of things as well. So all around, I think it's a very useful tool.
Yeah, it's good for the kids to know what's expected of them, right? And it's there, it's out there, but, you know, it's one thing to have handed it to them. It's a whole nother thing for them to be familiar with it.
Right.
So, yeah, it's hard. Any other questions? All right, thanks so much. All right, upward and onward. The financial forecast from Superintendent Kelly and Bernice Humnick, Director of Finance and Operations.
Well, Madam Chair and members, it's that time of year when it's January that we're doing some kind of financial forecast for you so that we can begin work on next year's budget. And so this is not the beginning and the end all, this is just the beginning. And so Director Humnick has put together, in conjunction with me, a PowerPoint just to give you an idea of some of the assumptions, some of the things that are going into the thought process so that you know what we're thinking about and what we need you to be thinking about as well, if I may be so bold. So with that, I'd like to pass the baton to Bernice, and if you wouldn't mind.
Good evening, Chair Severson, school board members, and Superintendent Kelly. We're here to address the 1920 budget assumptions. Our mission, Columbia Heights Public Schools, creating worlds of opportunities for each and every learner, all belong, all succeed. The core value I'll focus on tonight will be excellence. The first thing I'd like to highlight is the board policy on the minimum fund balance, which is 714. The Board of Education shall strive to maintain a fund balance between 6 and 12% of fund balance to total operating expenditures. The establishment of this range for the fund balance shall not be considered a goal to achieve a fund balance at the high end of the range. Rather, the fund balance goal is a range to fall within. The fund balance shall be defined as the sum of the unrestricted fund balance. It shall not include funds restricted by statute, such as operating capital, long-term facilities maintenance, or other reserves. The graph presents the different types of fund balances that exist and a historical pattern of the fund balance information. The small graph on the very top is actually the non-spendable, which is made up of inventory and prepaids. Another component would be the restricted and reserve component, which is mandated by statute that you spend those funds in a specific way. Assigned fund balance is where the school district has committed funds to a certain imposed constraint. Unassigned has no specific restrictions. One of the main features that, as we start to look at the budget, will be to look at the general education aid formula. This is a screenshot of multiple years of how the formula has changed through time, the percentage increases. As you can see, 2019 is the last time that is listed on there, and last year, or this year, it would be this current year, that amount is $6,312, and it was a 2% increase. At this time, we're waiting for the legislation to meet and make a decision. It will be one of the pending items that will be on the assumption. The general fund is also made up of a variety of sources, local, state, and other revenues. The majority of the revenues come from state resources, and that's the gray portion. The 2019-20 budget assumptions include the following. Projected enrollment is constant and stable at 3,180 students for K through 12. We assume the special education cross-subsidy will grow. Integration aid will remain. Federal and state entitlement grants will be subject to federal shutdown resolution. Gifted and talented aid from the state will remain marginal. It's currently $13 per student. Assume current LEP and compensatory will have a reduction due to a reduction and free and reduced percentages. Expiring staff contracts will be negotiated and settlement costs incurred. Assume faculty and staff retirements. And again, the legislative formula adjustment is pending. In our sample, in our assumptions, we are going to forecast that at 1.5%. It assumes that VP voluntary pre-kindergarten funding will continue. The next component will be continued on the assumption will be salary and contract increases will be included as part of the assumptions. It assumes that healthcare costs will significantly increase. The current projection is a 12% increase. Benefits, including health insurance projection, will be included in the assumptions. Fee-for-services, consultant fees, and purchase services are projected to have an inflationary increase. Transportation services are projected to significantly increase due to market demands. Supplies and material expenditures will remain stable. Dues and memberships will be subject to market renewal increases. One of the items that we highlighted was the cross-subsidy and how much of the cross-subsidy actually anchors right into your budget. And so you can see the different categories: administration, district support, elementary and secondary education, vocational education, special education, instructional support, pupil support, and transportation, sites and buildings, and property and other fixed expenses. As you can see, the line across the middle is the cross-subsidy. The next steps in the process will be a discontinuance of programs and positions, which Ms. Bennett will cover. The school board will be presented with a resolution directing the superintendent and administration to consider the discontinuance of programs or position to affect the economies in the school districts and reduce expenditures, make recommendations to the school board of the discontinuation of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions in order to balance the school district budget. Any question?
Any questions? All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, on that great transition, thank you, Bernice. The discontinuance of programs and positions resolution. The board will be presented with information on a resolution directing the superintendent and administration to consider the discontinuance of programs and positions to effectuate economies in the school district and reduce expenditures. Thank you. There you are.
I'm right
Welcome
here.
back.
Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. This is an annual resolution that's brought to the school board for approval. It'll be brought forward February 12th for actual approval. Tonight's just an information item. And really what it is, it's the school board directing the superintendent administration to consider the discontinuance of programs or positions to effectuate economies in the school district and reduce expenditures. So really, when we bring the resolution back for approval in February, it just starts the staffing process, and we just start to look for efficiencies in the district. So it's just an information item tonight, and like I said, it's an annual process. So is there any questions?
Any questions?
I don't have a question, I have more of a comment, and I think just in light of kind of some conversations that have happened in the past, I think it's important to note that this is an annual process, and as Director Humnick just presented, we have to do more with less. We have rising, we know that our transportation costs are going to increase significantly. We know that benefits are going to increase. We have contracts with our union employees that have annual increases built into them as they should. So all of these things, as we look at some of our expenses increasing and we look at the cross-subsidy, the special education cross-subsidy growing, and the uncertainty of what the legislation is going to say in terms of, is it 1%, is it 2%? Regardless, it's not enough. So what this is doing is not cutting anything. It's not saying, go and do this. It's saying, as a board, we're directing the administration to really look at ways that we can we can be more efficient and looking at whether that's programs, whether that's staffing, whether that's something entirely different than that, something creative. We'll be innovative, right? But this is something that has to be done so that we can explore what our options are, so we can look at putting together a budget that makes sense moving forward.
Thank you, that's really great. Any more questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Construction oversight update. The board will be presented with an update on construction oversight. Director Hennekins, Director of Technology, Security Services, and Operations.
Good evening, Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. As Superintendent Kelly mentioned earlier, I have a very brief update on what's been happening. I know people are very eager to hear what's going on. There's a lot of work going on, and as mentioned, in March, we'll have much more detail and probably a much larger crew of people coming with me to talk about what's going on. So again, our mission, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner, all belong, all succeed, with our core values of community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. This is not a governance presentation, it's just an informational presentation. So just a kind of a quick review. Again, November, we passed all 3 bond referendum questions, North Park Elementary School, performing arts space improvements, and the band room addition. In December, we began work on partnering with our construction project management company and architectural vendors and developing the working groups for each one of these projects. So we have our general construction project manager is Kraus Anderson. We've worked with Kraus Anderson a lot in the past and had a lot of success with them, being our strong advocate as we move forward in these construction projects. The most recent would have been the Valley View edition, I think. North Park Elementary architect, Cunningham Group, which I think we're familiar with over the work and the studying they've done on North Park Elementary with us. And the high school band and performing arts space architect and MLA architects. Also, we have experience working with them in various projects in the past. So feel very good about the group, the core group that we're working with. And of course, there's going to be a lot of other vendors as we really get into the projects and who's doing mechanical, wiring, and all those things that are going to go out to bid in the near future. So current work, we talked about those construction groups. We've split it into 2 groups just because they're very different projects. When you talk about North Park Elementary, and they're working with one architectural firm, and then we talk about the high school projects and working with MLA. So we split those groups up so we could have a little bit more focused time in each area. And we're meeting every 2 weeks. So we just started our meetings on January 7th, so we've only had 2. So we're definitely digging in and have high expectations for the architects to get things done quickly because we need final drawings so that they can get out to the construction company and they can put pricing together and we can get out to bid. We also have a financial group that's meeting every 2 weeks, so every off week, to talk about the finances of things as we move forward, making sure that we're at or under budget as we move forward with the projects. So definitely another very important group, and that first meeting was held on January 14th, so we've only had 1 meeting so far. But again, we'll meet every 2 weeks. So also currently, I've spent a lot of time walking through with different vendors as we kind of explore some of the things, mechanical, structural, civil. Anybody that's familiar with older building or older house remodels knows that sometimes when you open walls up or you investigate things a little bit more, you find, I didn't know that was there. Example are, our architectural drawings for North Park Elementary include the space where dry storage is in the kitchen versus where the cooler is, and reality is a little bit different than what the drawing says. At some point, we replaced the freezer and we expanded it a little bit into the dry storage. So the architect's got to go to work and figure out alternatives. So there are things that are actively happening now as we do those walkthroughs, really exploring and making sure that we're not missing anything, making sure that the tunnels are exactly where the drawings say they are, and there's not a little extra curve or something. So there's a lot of work happening there. And then also the programming meetings. So the programming meetings have started, more at the high school. North Park is kicking off later this week. So we've already we've met with the band group and talked about the band space. So we have the performing arts space as well. And in North Park, it's a much bigger project. So there's a much larger conversation that's happening in the building, talking about programming in these spaces as now we can really start to develop some of these things. So we have our primary and intermediate programming, special education, of course, science, art, music, and PE. And then custodial, food service, and admin. So we're really touching a lot of that building. So a lot of programming conversations happening this week yet. And then the architects will get back to us in February, and they can get those costs out to Krause Anderson, or those drawings out to Krause Anderson for costing. So also current work and next steps. We are actively exploring a partnership with 916 on new programming. 916 approached us about the possibility of adding or having a space available at one of our buildings for some additional programming. They've partnered with 2 other school districts in the same model already, more on the east side of the metro area, and so they're looking for something over here as well. So we're having conversations with them about that. Again, I mentioned finalizing those detailed drawings so they can get over to Krause Anderson. They can put the costs together. We can get these things out to bid. So we'll see those finalized drawings in February. Also, we're exploring that calendar. So as we have more conversation about North Park Elementary and staging, moving kids around as we need to for the construction. So there's a lot of conversations about is there an opportunity to move the school year a little bit since we're doing such a large project that's available to us? Does it help us? So for the next school year, starting earlier and ending earlier, so we have a larger summer construction window. So we're definitely exploring those things because it is going to be challenging to stage things on that site. So again, we need those finalized drawings. We need some additional work to be done. And again, we hope that in March we'll have a much more detailed look at that. And in February, I believe the calendar committee is meeting. So that conversation is actively happening and decisions need to be made soon. But we wanted to make sure the board was aware of those conversations. And again, as Superintendent Kelly, I mentioned earlier, looking at March for a more updated presentation or a more detailed presentation on specifics, which I know everybody is very anxious for. Any questions? I know it was pretty basic at this point, but we're definitely early in the stages yet. But
Any questions? Yeah.
Actually, I know that there's been a number of collaborations that 916 has been trying to help us create programs within our own school district, so we don't incur the extra costs of being able to outsource. Basically, even though it's within our collaboration, it's still more expensive to not be servicing our students at home. Are we looking at a grade school level kind of a collaboration, or are we looking at maybe some of the upper grades?
this one in particular is grade school, so younger kids. And it's, we're still working on the details of what this looks like in the other schools, and if this program did happen, what are the space requirements that they would have for us. We're definitely open to the opportunity because there are, definitely dollars to be saved if we can service the kids here versus moving them over to 916. But I'm sure we'll have more information for you as we move forward here. But at this point, it's so early on, but I wanted to mention it just because it is something we're exploring.
It's better to keep the kids with their, with their families and their classmates and their community,
Yep.
too. So it's better for everybody. Thanks.
All right. Any more questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Moving on to action items, the board, we're going to move on to action item A, sale and consideration of award of the 2019 A bonds. It says the board will be asked to approve the sale and consideration of the award of the 2019 A bonds. And Bernice Humnick, our Director of Finance, and Kelly Smith from Springstead are going to come up and tell us a little bit more about this. Do we say 2019 or 2019A? What's the lingo?
2019.
2019
A&B.
A, okay.
Yep.
Because it's the year, I suppose. All right.
Good evening, Chair Severson, school board members, and Superintendent Kelly. Kelly Smith from Springstead is here this evening, our financial advisor from Springstead. Will be on hand to present the board with the bids for the two sale of the bond issues, the 2019 A and the 2019 B. The first one we'll address is the 2019 A. The board will be asked to award the sale to the lowest bidder. I'm going to have Mr. Smith discuss that.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Severson, Superintendent Kelly, and members of the board, and Director Humnick, I'm very happy to be here tonight to report on the sale of bonds that the district had today. We received bids in our office this morning at 10 o'clock, and I have handed out a summary document, a single white page, and then the actual bid results on the back. I want to point to the first page of the summary letter there. The bottom of this page shows interest rates over the past 5 years, and you can see since about the summer of 16, interest rates have been climbing, and in particular, in the last half of 2018, interest rates climbed at a significant rate. As we were putting projections to the school board for you to consider putting this out to ballot, we had to make estimates, and rates were increasing significantly and continued to do that through the election in November. Thankfully, at that time, things quieted down, and actually interest rates have moved the other way and resulted in a great sale for you today. I'm actually going to talk about both A and B, although you'll be acting on A first. We received 6 bids from interested underwriting firms for both of the issues this morning. For 2019A, the low bidder is Robert W. Baird and Company, and they had a true interest cost of 2.828%. And you can see in the chart on the second page of this document, in late November, early December, we made a recommendation to the district. It appeared the rate, we do our best to project what the rates would be when the sale occurred. We were saying 3.394, so you were over half a percentage point lower than that, which is excellent. We also received 6 bids for the 2019 B issue, and the low bidder on that was Piper Jaffray. And the reason we have 2 issues here, which is a little unique, is they are different types of bonds, and due to the interest rate environment we were in, we felt the bonds that were maturing at the end of your 15-year term were better served with a capital appreciation bond. And so that's why there's 2 separate bids. I just want to make that clear. But again, in capital appreciation bonds, there are not a lot of these sold in Minnesota. We've actually seen some this past year, but we had projected 3.866%, and they came in over 0.8 lower today. So what that told us is there were some hungry investors who had not filled their quotas, and you were the beneficiaries of that. So that was great to see. And the bidding was very competitive on the capital appreciation bonds. The top 3 bidders, the 3 low bidders, were within 0.05% of each other. So very competitive bids throughout the bidding process. So from what we had projected this summer and then in late November, early December, the results today ended up saving district taxpayers over $1.1 million in interest savings over the life of these bonds. That's provided we don't do any refunding out there in the future when that is possible, but that's a great way to start. The taxes are set for 2019 because you took action as a board and we had to make an estimate back in December to make sure that was on the tax rolls. But actually your debt service will go down slightly the following year. So good news for you there. So provided acceptance of both of these resolutions tonight, we'll help coordinate with the district and the district will receive funds on February 21st, 2019, and we're working on investment options for those funds, so you'll be earning interest over the time that you have those bond proceeds before they're used to pay for your project. So with that, I would be open to any questions, and certainly want to thank Superintendent Kelly and Director Humnick for all their time and effort in getting this to move forward as well.
I think can we make a motion to move this forward before we do questions, and then include the discussion in there? Should we do questions for?
If you do it one at a time, like do A and then B.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. For those of you who are watching, listening, we typically read resolutions in full when we do resolutions at the school board. These resolutions, however, are 36 and 38 pages respectively. And as much as I do love the sound of my own voice, I think that I will ask the board if you're willing to forego the reading of this, and we begin, I'll move the resolution forward as the resolution on the table in front of us. If anyone out there would like a copy of the resolution, you can request it, and we'll make sure we get that to you. So this resolution is for resolution awarding the sale, determining the form and details, authorizing the execution, delivery, and registration, and providing the payment of general obligation school building bond series 2019A. And then specifically, let me read the motion. The motion is to award the 2019A general obligation building bond sale to Robert W. Baird and Company, Inc., Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as recommended. We have a motion to move that forward as the motion on the table in front of us.
So moved.
Second.
Motion carries. All right, discussion and questions on the 2019 A bond. Motion doesn't carry, right? We can move forward with discussions. We have a first and second on a motion, sorry. Yeah, motion. So discussion. Motion does not carry. Questions are discussion on bond 2019 A. Again, just to say, I asked the question, Kelly, is there any reason that you would say we should not pass this motion?
No, we recommend you pass this resolution awarding the sale to Robert W. Baird and Company.
Any more discussion? All right, as this is a resolution, we'll have a roll call vote. No?
Is this a resolution or a motion?
This is a resolution,
Yep.
so it should be roll call vote.
All right.
Mueller? Aye. Severson?
Aye.
Lewis?
Aye.
Samurai?
Aye.
Palmer? Aye.
All right, and then similarly, so motion carries. Similarly, we're going to suggest we forego the reading of the 38-page document in front of me on bond 2019B. So we would be voting on the bond as it sits in front of us, all of us have copies of it. And it is let me read it, general obligation bond 2019B capital appreciation bond sale to Piper Jaffrey, Minneapolis, Minnesota, as recommended. So resolution awarding the sale, determining the form and details, authorizing the execution, delivery, and registration, and providing for the payment of general obligation school building bond series 2019B.
So moved.
Second.
Thanks. Discussion? or questions on this one? Thank you for all your hard work.
Yep, thank you. Yep, glad.
Roll call vote?
Mueller. Aye. Severson.
Aye.
Lewis.
Aye.
Samurai. Palmer. Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thanks again.
Very good, thank you. We'll have some
Thanks for all
documents
that.
for signature by chair and clerk, so Ms. Humnick will have those here. Thanks. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks. All right, the pay equity report, Director of Human Resources, Lindsay Bennett.
Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. Tonight I'm here to seek approval of the pay equity report. Again, our mission, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner where all belong and all succeed. I presented information on this back on January 8th as an information item, and the district is required to submit the report by the end of January, so tonight we'll seek approval. Again, the purpose of the pay equity report is to report salary information on employees to assure that the institution is not discriminating against female employees in their compensation practices. And it's something we have to file every 3 years with the state. So the 4 tests, again, the completeness and accuracy tests, we have to submit a report by January 31st, 2019, or it doesn't matter if we pass other ones or not, we are out of compliance. There's the statistical analysis test, which compares salary data to determine if female classes are paid consistently below male classes of comparable work, and we do pass that test. The salary range test, it looks to see whether male classes are reaching the top of their salary range faster than female classes, and we did pass that test. The exceptional services pay test, that analyzes whether there is a larger percentage of male classes receiving longevity or performance pay than female classes. It has to be at 80%, and we're currently at a 78.45, so we wouldn't pass this test at this time. And as I explained back in the last board meeting, the test looks at, it's not whether or not you're eligible to receive these at some point. We take a snapshot in time, and the job classes have to be receiving it at that time. So that there might be some positions that may receive longevity if they've been here 10 years, they're just not at that point yet, and we can't count them as receiving it. So the next step is tonight I am seeking approval of the pay equity report as presented. We'll file the report. We'll be found out of compliance, and we can submit either a reconsideration, ask them just to consider the information, especially since we're so close in that one area. Otherwise, we can submit a new report, and at that time, the snapshot will be different, and we may pass that portion of it. So, any questions?
No. Not from me. Anyone else? As we did just hear about this a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
thank you. A motion to carry this forward?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. The overnight field trip. The board will be asked to approve an overnight field trip. Director Stenvick.
Vice Chair Severson, members of the board, Superintendent Kelly. Each year in May, I bring forward overnight or out-of-state field trips. This particular field trip that I'm going to describe that you were provided information on came about after that. And it's such a great opportunity that I didn't want to wait an entire year. So it is part of our American Indian Education Program, and those of you who may remember a few years ago, Dave Larson, who was our American Indian specialist working here, he has since passed. North Hennepin Community College is honoring him by creating this kind of a memorial tour or a study seminar. Of course, Valerie Larson, his wife, works for us, continues to work with us in this programming. So she's part of the planning committee for this tour, of course. Anyway, so part of the tour, one of the exciting parts of the tour is that the student we have one qualifying student currently who's a junior in high school. You need to meet certain criteria because the student will actually earn college credits as part of this tour, which is really exciting. Any costs incurred are funded by American Indian state dollars, and this is an approved by the state, an approved expenditure, and an encouraged expenditure by the state. The dates of the trip are April 25 through 29, 2019, and it's an immersion experience. So. And there's a lot of work involved, of course, for 4 college credits. But students will, some of the examples of where they will go, it's kind of that southern portion of the state of Minnesota. So there'll be a tour through Mankato State University. And of course, that is, there's Reconciliation Park is there. It was the site of the Dakota 38, the largest hanging. They will go to Jeffers Petroglyphs, which have these ancient, they're not cave drawings because it's open in a field, drawings there or carvings on the stones, Pipestone, Minnesota. And then circling back to the other side of the state, the eastern side, to Prairie Island Buffalo Restoration Project. And then back up to the Twin Cities to the Bedote Fort Snelling site. So this will take a few days. They're having opportunities to learn canoe building. At Mankato State, they're going to work with the linguists there who are restoring the Dakota language. There's just all kinds of really intense opportunities and projects that the kids are going to be able to work on. So again, we have one qualifying student whose parents would really like to be able to partake in this opportunity. So with that, I'm going to ask for action and approval for the overnight Dave Larson Memorial Field Trip for one of our qualifying students that will take place April 25 through 29, 2019.
All right, so there's a motion to approve the overnight field trip. Can we have somebody want to?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, thanks, Laura. Any discussions or questions?
I have a question. Is this something that the American Indian Parent Committee has been involved in? And I know that there's funding dollars that kind of go back and forth. Is that something that they approve?
Yep, the parent committee approves all of the dollars, and college and career readiness type activities are one of our, I think it's goal number 5 in the plan. Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. And that leaves me for board policy second readings, and that will include, 104, school district mission statement. 532, use of peace officers and crisis teams to remove students with IEPs from school grounds. 602, organization of school calendar and school day. 604, instruction curriculum. 611, homeschooling. 613, graduation requirements. 615, testing accommodations, modifications and exemptions for IEP. Section 504, accommodations and LEP students. 618, assessments of student achievement. 619, staff development for standards. 707, transportation of public school students. 709, student transportation safety policy. 722, public data request. And these policies did appear on the January 28th meeting for review. And I'm here seeking approval in tonight's meeting. These were covered in the subcommittee on policy, then moved for first reading, and now they're here for us tonight. So a motion to carry that forward.
So moved.
Laura?
Second.
Molly? You guys are busy tonight. Any questions?
Did we get any other feedback or anything since our first reading?
That's a great question.
Madam Chair and members, no, we have not.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, and lastly tonight, we're going to do board topics. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up for board topics?
I've got something.
Yeah, thanks.
Just wanted to take a minute. I know we've got some folks here and had somebody speak earlier, and I guess we kind of touched on it on our board reports and the listening session that we had last week where we didn't have a lot of participation. And I just want to kind of put out there and talk publicly that members of the board are available should you have any questions, comments, concerns, or kudos that you'd like to share with us. I think, we have emails that are on the Columbia Heights Public Schools website and phone numbers, and I would believe that many of us or all of us would return phone calls or emails should anyone reach out to us. And I know I had a conversation with a community member in the 2 full years that I've served on the board. I can count the number of phone calls and emails I've had on 2 hands. So please reach out to us if there's questions or concerns. We're here to represent the community. I try to get out. I know we all try to get out as much as possible, but we are available. And I also think that we really need to kind of just talk just very briefly about the elephant in the room. And I know that there's been, we've been in the news. And I think that, I've talked to Vice Chair Severson about just making a comment just to kind of put some stuff out there that, kind of what we can and cannot say regarding situations like this. So I know that.
Yeah, we talked with council and seeking that. I think kind of what we want to say is, well, we don't have any specific information about the allegations that you've seen. And we want to assure everyone who's watching and people who are here tonight that student safety and well-being is something we take very seriously, and wanting to know that that is something we care about. Due to any data privacy information, we don't want to comment further, but wanting people to know we care and we're hearing and we're listening. And if you really do want to talk, you can definitely arrange a meeting with a school board member or Superintendent Kelly or me and Superintendent Kelly or whoever might satisfy you. So we want to make sure parents feel heard and cared for.
And I think the same message goes for the admin teams in the buildings, that parents should feel comfortable reaching out to those staff as well.
Yep.
And I think it's important to say that it's hard when stuff comes up because there's just things we can't say. And nobody feels good about that. I think that it is what it is, and there's laws and limitations that are in place, and we have to do what we have to do within the confines of the laws that are out there. And if people aren't satisfied with that, well, then there's another measure, and that's the legislature and changing laws. But we have to do what we have to do. We can say what we can say based on the legal constraints that we have. But I think, as Vice Chair Severson said, I think there is not one of us that isn't passionate about the safety of our students and something that we all take very seriously.
On the rough transition note, I would also like to announce that we are going to have a school board work study on March 5th. So news, we have to fit an extra one in, and that will be specifically on the focus will be primarily on the construction, and it'll be from 5:30, beginning at 5:30 here in the community room. So if people are interested in details about the construction, we should know a lot more by March, but we do need to get in a work study, and we normally only have one meeting in March due to spring break and other things that come up. So fortunately, because we have this great project moving forward, but of course, unfortunately for everyone's time schedule, we have to squeeze it in early March. So definitely do that. The Fire and Ice Challenge is also this weekend, so if you want to watch people torture themselves by jumping into a frozen lake for charity, you should turn out at the Silver Lake Beach, right? Is that technically what it's called? Yeah, so Silverwood Park Beach, right? So that's always fun. Chair Larkin almost always ends up in the water, so that's something worth seeing. Any other board topics?
There's a couple of things going on this week. The high school choir concert is tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the Performing Arts Center, and the middle school band concert, which, if you want to see an amazing concert with hundreds of students that barely fit on that stage, it's an incredible sight. There's kind of 2 showings because there are so many of them. There's a 6:15 concert for kind of our beginning, I believe, an intermediate band, and then at 7:30, I believe, is the advanced and Highlander bands. So 4 bands performing Thursday at the high school Performing Arts Center.
It really does. They fill up the whole stage. There's one band that is just massive, and it's fun to see.
And they're incredible.
Yep. Can we talk about the subcommittee date? Are we committed to the 2-5 as a board topic for the subcommittee on community involvement that was thrown out there?
Let me just check here really quick.
Is this an appropriate board topic? Can we do this? Okay.
It's better to do it now since we
Yeah.
can't do it
And then
offline.
Was that the date I proposed?
Yeah,
The
it
2-5?
was. It's a Tuesday. It's the first Tuesday of the month. We don't typically have board meetings, so it'd be, we pick a time and then a place would be assigned, correct? I'm not-
Yeah.
Can we do it at the earliest at 5:30?
Sure, do you want to, 5:30? Is that good?
On the 5th? Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I can do that.
And then, Dawn, could you help us with proper public notification? Great. So I would then officially announce a subcommittee meeting on community involvement on 2/5 at 5:30. Location to be announced somewhere in this building is my guess.
Engagement.
Community engagement.
Community ad hoc subcommittee on community engagement.
Yeah.
Yep.
5:30.
All right. Any other board topics? Going once, going twice? I'm excited about this. So, meeting adjourned at 8:48.